Yeah. So, good evening, people. And yesterday we were working with Harleen, and today she's feeling better, and her smell is also recovering, which is brilliant. And I was like, okay, how does it get better than this? And so, what I want to acknowledge is every day in these workshops, we are kind of working with different aspects of life and different parts of the body, different emotions, and like I called Neelam in the afternoon batch. Earlier, she came in one of the morning batches. Then I called Smriti Goswami. She spoke about money. And then I have, I have a couple of more people in line, which I think calling them will be a contribution. So I'm going to do that too. And just give me a second. I don't know what's going on. Somebody's coming. So yeah, what I was saying is that we've been talking about different things, and we're bringing different people to talk about other subjects of healing and the ways of healing. And also I'm going to call doctor, someone who is into healing and is a medical doctor too, so that um, I'm trying to connect to more people, and once they give me their confirmed dates, I'll be announcing. This is something that was like just an idea in my head for a very long time. I think in the last 2 years. And for me to be able to execute it only was possible when I left all the ways I thought it can be executed. You know, when we have a specific, like, fixed thing in our head that, oh, this is how this can be executed, or this is how I want to do it. And of course, we are excited about ideas, and we, love to explore ways to execute our ideas. But at the same time, what I'm acknowledging today is one is the intention, that why do you want to do what you want to do. Okay, second, if you let go of the how you will do what you do, then like access question says what else is possible. Third, when you write down things, when you put your ideas into paper, somehow or the other, sooner or later, the universe shows us ways to execute it, provided we are um, you know alert, awake, present, that okay, I was asking for this and then it showed up this way. I was thinking of doing this and then it showed up this way. And and after it shows up, going back to where it was just an idea or just a thought you conceived in your mind, and then now it's showing up in a very different way than I could imagine. But at the same time, despite all of that, acknowledging that, oh, even though it didn't show up the way I would have thought it would, but it is showing up, and it is showing up in a way that I could not have imagined. Which means, as much as our imagination is a superpower, so much the same imagination can be a limitation as well. Okay. So if anything that we consider is the best thing about us, the same best thing can be the limitation too. This my years of healing experience and my years of self-work has taught me that the things that we consider are our greatest strengths can be our greatest weaknesses, and vice versa. Our greatest weaknesses can be our greatest strengths, provided we are willing to look at it from from a holistic view, like from a bird's eye view, and just not make anything right or wrong, not judge the why we are the way we are, why people are the way they are. It takes work to come to this space, you know, to be able to even acknowledge and recognize this much, that this is a possibility, that this is true for me. I don't know about other people. To be true to yourself and to be true to other people, it takes a lot of confrontation, a lot of facing our fears, of facing our inner abilities and disabilities, being willing to show um, the greatest part of us, and also having the courage to embrace the not so great parts of us. And when I'm talking all this, I don't even know whether, this is supposed to be relevant to what we are doing right now or not. And this was my biggest time weakness, having whatever, I mean, I don't want even to label it as autism or ADHD or this or that, any labeled disorder of the mind. But I would never talk relevant. I didn't know how to talk to the point. I would always talk too much, and too much, and when in talking too much also, if I'm starting with something here, point A, suddenly I'll go to point B, and then suddenly I'll be in point D. C skipped, and then suddenly I'll go to point F, and then I don't even know what was A B C D E, and then I'll come back to A, and then I'll be like, oh, okay, I took a long route, and I'm coming back here. So this was something that I read about on some what do you call that, Instagram story or something, about where Gary Douglas has posted about ADHD and how they tell stories and how a normal person will say something. So when people tell me this whole thing can be said in one statement or two statements or three statements, and I'll be like, how do people do that? So that was a big time disability, so to say, that I had. And I still don't know how to talk to the point and to just talk only relevant stuff and not talk irrelevant stuff and just be focused on the conversation that I'm having and not bring in other stories and not skip from one story to another, to another, to another. But at the same time, having received all the feedbacks from all the people, trying to work on changing it, and realizing that there are certain things I can change and there are certain things I cannot change. They are just maybe, the default setting that I have. Still, not discounting on the work that I've done to be able to even make sense in all my conversations, some sense, if not, at least, that's like something. They say something is better than nothing. But then there was something that I read, nothing is better than nonsense. So when it is nonsensical in my head, then I just be silent, talk nothing. I prefer that. Okay, fine. I know now, right now my head is going all nonsense. So let me just be with myself and not do anything and not talk, or like, cancel some conversation that I'm having, and then pause, take time, say what I want to say, write it down, or then talk when I can put it into better words or better from a better space. The people that are with you all your life, they sooner or later identify that, oh, these are, I wouldn't even call it incapacities or disorders. They know that, oh, this is a pattern. This person is like this. So they somehow, you know, because they are seeing you day to day, every day, they cannot keep glorifying you for the, oh, wow, you're so good and all that, because they are seeing the other side of you also, right? So for the longest period of time, I used to think that, wow, everybody else likes me so much. Why my own family members will criticize me for something that I'm doing, which is kind of nice and good and everything. Until I realized that they are the people who really, really, genuinely know me and care for me, and they are just showing me when I'm going haywire, when my mind is not working well, and when I'm not doing something um, which is supposed to be done, or when I'm doing something which is not supposed to be done. Having said that, being a rebel, I was always this person, okay, if you tell me not to do something, I'll definitely do it. And there will be consequences to it. And then I'll face the consequences. I hit my head on the wall, bang myself, hurt myself, come back, heal my hurt, and then I'll proceed. Fuck. There's a lizard in the room. I'm already dead. So anyway, so this is what I have learned, how to manage my behavior in a way that is less hurting to me and others, and to be more okay with who I am and to be more okay with who others are. But all of this takes work. All of this doesn't happen overnight. All of this is not a thing which you're born with. Okay? And this is why these conversations, these sessions, these, um, you know, meetings are kind of important. Yeah, Nikita, I will be taking questions. And so, is she with you or she's on another?
Yeah, yeah, she's with me.
Cool, fine. So, this is the purpose that all these conversations we are having on, whether it's morning, afternoon, evening, any batch, and the new speakers that are coming and other speakers who are going to come, so that you get different perspectives to the same thing and different perspectives to yourself, different ways of healing yourself, different ways of, kind of looking at things. That's why I wanted to call more people on board and have them talk also about the things that they know, which I don't know. Or I may know 10% and they may know 80% of that subject. So, this is where, when we get open to contribute, receive, ask for the things that we don't know, and be willing to acknowledge what we know and practice what works. That's most important. Practicing what works for you. And anything that I'm saying, if there's part of it which doesn't work for you, you can just completely eliminate and eradicate that and only take what works for you. This, I'm telling it from a very, very neutral perspective. It really doesn't matter. If anything I say makes absolutely no sense, you can just completely erase the whole thing and then choose something different. Ask yourself what works for you and do that, right? So that is just something that I wanted to talk about, because there were a lot of conversations happening in the afternoon batch and morning batch, and then I was thinking, like, you know, where is this going to? So yeah, Nikita, what's your question?
Yeah, I'll just hand it over. Hi, this is Mansi Kandana.
Hi.
So basically, I wanted to ask a few things like how can I use this Soul's Temple for healing my tingling? So I basically have tingling sensation in my legs,
Okay.
mostly during night time. So I can't sleep. It's basically restless legs that happens.
Okay. And since how long?
This is since a long time now, probably a year or so.
Okay. So
So,
I'll ask a few questions and then I'll just give you what statement you can put.
sure.
So, a couple of things. In the last 1 year, when you're not sleeping, what does it make you feel?
So it basically it's tingling sensation that's happening all the time. I feel like I need to move my legs all the time,
Mm.
and the time I give them pain or I press my toes or feet, at that time I feel a little better. Or I need to walk at night time, get up and walk, even if I'm sleepy. I can't get the sleep.
Okay. So, that's not what I'm asking. That's a symptom.
Okay.
What I'm asking is when you're not able to sleep,
Mm-hmm.
what does that not being able to sleep and having to get up and walk in the night make you feel?
It feels uneasy actually.
Uneasiness. Okay. And
So basically, I just feel uneasy. That's restless.
uneasy and restless. So, we can keep
Yeah.
that back, those two feelings. Then, before 1 year, when all of this started, before that, say for 6 months to 1 year, what was going on in your life which made you uneasy and restless?
So nothing in specific. So I was working in Hyderabad before, and then I shifted my job. I am a sales profession actually.
Hmm.
So basically, this lockdown and all started, and
Hmm.
then everything was work from home. So
Right.
I was not happy. I was not doing more of physical activity as such. And
Hmm.
then I also went through a relationship breakup types.
Hmm.
So that I actually was not feeling good about that also.
Yeah.
So probably that also triggered this.
Correct. So two things out of this is one is not getting enough physical activity, not doing enough physical activity.
Yes.
And so now kind of the mind is overactive. And when the mind is overactive, and then the body, the only way the body can bring you back to itself is to have some pain or sensation or something going on in the body, which then brings you to your body, and then you get into physical activity like getting up and walking and everything. Because there may be a point of view that without the physical activity my body cannot be whatever dash. Okay. So one is that. Second, yes, of course, when you're saying relationship breakup, these are huge things. They are
Mhm.
associated to a lot of emotions within us. Okay. So what you can do, this is like, because for 1 year you've been having this, so I would say that every day sit with yourself, and first thing, write about all that the relationship breakup brought for you, the good and the bad. Okay.
Okay.
And then write about the uneasiness and the restlessness, both, I mean, address the uneasiness and restlessness also, then the tingling sensation also. Now when you put all of these together on a paper, you can't like sit and do everything soul temple in one day. But once you have written all of this down, what you can do is, as I tell other people also, pick up three things from that. Do soul temple, simple basic soul temple, which is, for example, feeling uneasy and restless is my soul temple. My need to feel uneasy and restless is my soul temple. My resistance to let go of the unease and restlessness is my soul temple. Now, these three statements, 11, 11 times, to start with, you can do it before you sleep tonight. Okay. And then lack of physical activity is my soul's temple. My need for the lack of physical activity is my soul's temple. My resistance to be physically active even from home is my soul's temple. Okay.
Okay.
So this, then um, then third thing would be, what did that relationship breakup make you feel each and every time when you thought of it, and what goes on about it in your mind till now. What was it then? What is it now? All of that, write it down and start addressing it with Soul's Temple. It may take, say, 15 to 20 days or something by the time you come to each and every emotion, but definitely it will change.
Sure.
To begin with, you have to start with feeling uneasy and restless is my soul's temple.
Okay.
When you're sleeping tonight, because it's about not getting sleep, right?
Okay.
So yeah, these are the things which I can like broadly tell you.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Like, does this make sense to you?
Yes, yes, yes. So I actually read about this and Nikita told me about it today itself. So
Hmm.
I thought I would just start with it because these are the basic issues that I'm facing, and I feel that she has experienced it more. So I
Yeah.
feel it will affect me as well in a good sense.
And plus, another thing that you can daily do is the progressive relaxation using Soul's Temple. On one of the days, we had done from toe to head, you know,
Okay,
addressing each and every part of the body, saying, my toes are my soul's temple 3 times. The dorsal part of my foot is my soul's temple 3 times. The soles of my feet are my soul's temple. The heels of my feet are my soul's temple. Like that, either you can do it yourself or you can listen to the audio video that I must have put on the groups before.
okay, all right. I'll surely try and get back.
Yeah, so it's on SoundCloud also. It's also on YouTube. So you can put the SoundCloud audio and just listen. It's just on SoundCloud. It's, I think it's Soul's Temple Meditation is the
Okay,
title on my SoundCloud page. Okay,
I'll
that
try.
will be an added recipe to sleep well, because a lot of people who have listened to that all through the lockdown have said suddenly we are sleeping better.
Okay, so this I can try before sleeping itself. Right?
Yes, first you
Okay,
address your uneasiness and restlessness
okay,
and the lack of physical activity bit. After all of that, then put on the meditation and see if you're able to sleep off.
all right, all right.
See, for example, if every day if you're sleeping at a stretch, say for 2 hours or 3 hours, and today if you sleep for even 3.5 hours or 4 hours, the next day morning acknowledge that, oh wow, something is shifting. Thank you, body. How does it get better than this? And then continue.
Sure, sure.
Take.
I'll do that.
Yeah, so that will be your way of working.
Thank you, Vandana.
You're welcome. Any other questions anybody has? Yeah. No questions?
I have a question. So
Yeah, Hari.
usually we come hi Harleen this side. So basically we come across a lot of scenarios where we are doing soul temple for a set of feelings that we have. Um, what if somebody is diabetic and they want to use soul's temple? Like what would be the correct format to do it so that their diabetes is in control or they just get rid of that disease?
It boils down always first to the symptoms of the diabetes, because everybody has different symptoms with diabetes also. you know what is the physical
Mm-hmm.
body things that happen because of the diabetes. Okay, and then second would be the emotions. Whatever is the emotion with regards to that, that has to be addressed. And again, diabetes and stuff are things like you cannot eradicate just by doing Soul's Temple. You have to also maintain your diet. You also have to, you know, kind of do
Go
some
through the
exercise,
medication.
medication until it completely gets
Yeah.
better. Yes, exercise, diet, regular, focusing on the body, because it's like a long term
Mm-hmm.
thing. And when it is a long term thing, you can't expect a short term procedure to it.
Yeah.
Okay,
If
so
what if like all that is already there, like the exercise or taking good diet and all that and all you're already doing.
then
But
then the
just to
feelings,
make things a lot
definitely,
okay.
then the feelings and the symptoms, whatever are the symptoms which are creating pain or unease in the body, those symptoms have to be addressed with Soul Temple. and then what does it make you feel? Very basic.
Okay.
Okay, so yeah, that. And you can also check Louis Hay, You Can Heal Your Life book. There might be a specific thought pattern about uh, this issue, which can
Okay.
be addressed. Okay,
Okay.
so yeah, that. So what else, folks? How many of you here are only on the evening batch? Ruby, I know she's on the afternoon batch also. Um, I don't know about Prakash, Kaur, Priyanshi. Are you all also there in the other batches or you're only on the evening batch? Can I get a reply?
I am the only one. I mean, I am the one who's just on the evening batch.
Okay.
I think
Baban is
people are.
sometimes morning, sometimes evening. Priyanshi is only evening. Okay. Because what I was thinking is if the evening batch is having only one or two, three people and others are coming in the morning and afternoon, then I can just completely erase the evening batch and keep it morning and afternoon. Or maybe change the timing so that more people can join in the evening too. My evening book read that I was attending for 10 days, 8:30 to 10:30 is over now. So I was thinking that should I change the timing of the evening batch because after 3, 6 is quite close and so people can come, I think, a little later also. So if at all I have to continue the evening batch, I'm thinking of if we can make it say, I don't know, maybe 9 to 10 p.m. or 8 to 9 p.m. or whatever works. Okay.
If 9, that would be better. But I don't know for the rest.
9 p.m. you're saying?
Yes, please.
Okay. How about other people?
I'll join in the morning then, Vandana.
Which is fine. Those who are coming in the morning batch is great. Any which ways, I'm putting all the recordings on the groups. So if you don't attend one of the batches, you can always listen to the recording. That's not a thing. Because if there are not enough people, then sustaining this unnecessarily for 1 hour is kind of, too much of an effort, honestly. And if there are like enough people who are coming, then there's a meaning to like continue this batch also. That's what I came to me today because yesterday also there were just 4 or 5 people. So for 4 or 5 people continuing one batch at 6 is it just feels like it's not worth it. What we can do is either change the timing to later evening so that more people can come in, or completely remove this batch. Whatever works. I'm really not sure what will work better, but I wanted to propose this. So Nikita has written that she's also in the morning, I guess, because she joins in the morning and today she missed it, so she attended the evening one. Priyanshi is only evening. Arlene is only evening. So will you guys tell me what works, what time would work apart from 6? Works later evening, right?
Yeah, that could work for me.
Works,
We
right?
can.
So maybe 8:30, 9:30. I don't know. I think 9,
Maybe
8:30.
9.
9 should be fine, I guess. So that more people can join in, those who are coming from offices and not actually free at 6. So I'm thinking of changing this timing to say, I think 9 p.m. sounds lighter. Okay. So what I'll do is I'll post it on the group and all 3 groups. Whoever wants to join the late evening batch can join the late evening too. Or is 7:30 to 8:30 a good time? How does that feel?
That's fine by me too.
7:30 also works?
Yes, it does.
Because by that time, even people who are in offices and come back at 6 or finish their work at 6, 9 to 10 might just get like, then for me, I have to wake up in the morning early and all of that. So, okay, fine. Let me just put it on the group today. If 7:30 works for everybody, we'll make it 7:30. So that there is enough gap also, and then more people can join when compared to the current scenario. Yeah, 7:30 somewhat makes sense. Cool. Uh, anyway, tomorrow is Sunday, so tomorrow there is no workshop, neither morning, afternoon, nor evening. And Monday, regular time, evening batch, I may change it to either 7:30 or 9 based on whatever responses I get. And yeah, so all those who have been attending regularly so far, from 21st till today, it's almost 10 days. What according to you is the benefit of participating here? Apart from learning Souls Temple. Because learning Souls Temple, though you do one basic workshop, you learn it.
I think you get, you know, you are able to get a lot of your feelings out there, and you know, you're able to address them,
Yeah,
recognize them.
yes.
That's one thing for sure.
Yeah, great. Thank you, Harleen, for that. Yeah, because when we are meeting on a regular basis, we are able to open up. The people who are not opening up also can open up. They also talk about what's going on. And like, for example, Nikita, today her sister came in that, okay, I would also like to know. So this is definitely one advantage, that people are able to ask and express their feelings and what's going on. What else?
I would say that when we had done that family thing that we are talking about relationships,
Hmm.
it did bring a shift in there, even though like you cannot say that it was very obvious on the face,
Hmm.
not right in the face, but yes, the subtle currents were definitely there.
Hmm. Okay. So it brought about a shift in the way of looking at relationships, or actually the dynamics of the relationship?
The dynamics of relationship and looking at relationship both.
Both. Okay. Great. Thank you. I'm not able to. You're muted, Priyanshi. You have to unmute. Yeah. We still can't hear you, I think. If in case you're speaking. Okay, cool.
Bandhana, what I feel is a lot of self healing is just happening automatically. Whatever like we think of, we are stuck somewhere. That is somehow discussed in the call,
Programs.
which is which is like being healed automatically.
Hmm.
A lot of part is being healed like just by
Okay.
attending it.
By participating. Great.
Yes.
What else? I would, once Priyanshi speaks, once she comes back, I what I what I want to come to is something different. Yeah, thank you, Prakash. So Priyanshi, are you back? Unmuted. Oh, there is some issue. So we're not able to hear you. Okay, cool. So you know what? You can write it down. I will just reiterate that.
Vandana, there is one more thing. Can I speak?
Yes, sure.
There is a lot of like stuff which is like coming up also, which is coming to surface, which was like never seen before. That is also happening.
Okay. So yeah, we are going deeper within us, basically.
Yeah.
And actually looking at things we haven't looked at maybe for long.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for that too. Um, by only interacting, a lot of unanswered questions got answered. Priyanshi says that. Thank you, Priyanshi, for that. So now what I wanted to bring to notice of everyone here, not a single person said that I'm here because I'm also being a contribution to this call. We always acknowledge the contribution that other people are being to our lives. We always acknowledge that, oh, somebody's question gave me my answers, or somebody's answers gave me my uh, awareness. None of you came to the point that I'm here because I'm also being a contribution to all people and this call and to myself. Like,
Yeah.
like isn't it?
Yeah.
By sharing your stories, by asking questions, by Nikita asking what she asked, by her sister asking what she asked, Baban, whoever is asking their questions, expressing about what they're going through, what a contribution is that being to everybody? Otherwise, what? It'll become like a monologue that I'll keep talking, everybody will keep listening. It'll be like a pravachan, which you know, like some guru is talking and there's this 1000 people listening, and then they'll get up and go home, nothing will register. So the difference that these calls are, one is you, each one of you is being a contribution for the greater well-being of ourselves and other people. Each one here who's taken charge of his or her own life and health is being an inspiration to so many more people. And you know, it's like a collective uh, space of creation, which is, I don't know, going to have a ripple effect on how many thousands of people. So that I wanted to acknowledge that today, that each one of you here, whether it's morning, afternoon, or evening, who are attending and those who are not attending, or maybe listening later to the calls, and some who are not even listening but they're just there on the group. We never know what energies each one is doing and what contribution that is being. For example, you might wonder that if someone is just on the group and not listening to the audios or videos or anything, not even coming on the calls, what is their contribution? Just adding numbers to the group. And then someday, some topic, like out of 30 days, some one topic of one of the batches they might just look at it and they might feel, okay, maybe I'll listen to this. So just being there is also being a contribution. Being in spaces like this. And it's all choice. I know, like, as many people are there already on my morning, afternoon, evening batch. I know at least 10 times more people than that. At least. But not all of them are here. Even though many of them know how good Souls Temple is. Many of them know me as a facilitator and my capacities. Many of them know that when I do therapies, things change for them. They've also acknowledged at different times. Many of them are not going through COVID or anything, and they are good in their life, so they don't want to indulge in any of this. And then many of them are going through so much pain that they can't sit for this. Okay. And there are so many more who are also contributing in their own way, in their own capacity. So they don't have time to come and sit and attend this call because they have their own contribution to make to themselves and the world through their capacities. Like, for example, doctors and nurses and healers and many of them. So there are this many number of people, this many kind of people. Having gratitude for those who are there, having gratitude. Yes, but yes, Baban, we'll take the question. So having gratitude for those who are there and not there, and just recognizing and acknowledging that wherever anyone is, whatever anyone is doing, in his or her best capacity, maybe is what is required for them right now, and maybe nothing more is required. When they awaken or open up to more possibilities will show up to them, irrespective whether or not they come to Soul's Temple. So this kind of thought process, belief system can be very empowering to have, rather than having disempowering beliefs and making ourselves or anybody right or wrong and judging people who are doing or not doing or being or not being any of that. So that's where I want to come. And I want each one of you to please acknowledge what a contribution your presence has been to these calls. Each one of you, including the one who has just come today. Because such conversations are the things that are going to set examples for people who are looking and listening at these calls. That, okay, oh, I also have this sleeping problem. Maybe I can do this. I also have restlessness. Maybe I can do this. Oh, I also got married in the lockdown and maybe I should work on that part of me. Everything. So, yeah, thank you, people. Thank you very much. I just wanted to acknowledge your contribution to this whole program. Yeah, Baban.
Bandana, when we do something, we are always like vested in the outcome, like what is going to happen.
Yeah.
And so how to actually come out of it and not be vested? Yeah, we say that we should not be vested in the outcome. But then how can we like actually implement it and not be vested in the outcome?
That is like being willing to be process oriented, not result oriented. That I'm doing my best and leaving the rest to God. Now that comes from a very devotion perspective of that. Yeah, there is a higher power who will take care of the outcome. For that you have to have more faith, not just so trust in yourself and faith in the universe.
Okay.
Because trust we have to have in ourselves, because when we don't trust ourselves, then we have doubts about the outcome.
Yes.
And when we don't have faith in the universe, then we are all the time, after finishing the process, sitting and waiting for the outcome.
Yes.
It's, if I have to give an example, very simple. When you are seeding a plant, when you're sowing a seed for a plant, if you know that, oh, you put fertile soil and you're putting appropriate water, you've done enough research. So you're putting appropriate water, you're putting it into sunlight when it is required and bringing out of sunlight when it is required. The ways of the plant is good enough for that particular seed to sustain itself. So when you know all of this, you've done your homework and your research and preparation for this plant to grow well, then you will have trust in yourself.
Yes.
That I'm doing the right process.
Yes.
Okay. Now, having done that, whether or not the seed will actually come out brilliantly, beautifully big, or that seed will die inside, that control we don't have. That is for
Absolutely.
the seed to decide. And then whatever it can absorb, it will grow according to that. Small, big, very lush green, or like a creep or whatever. That faith we have to have in the universe that, okay, I've done my job. Now I've sown the seed. Now how the plant has to grow, how much the plant has to grow, is anyway not in my control.
Yes.
I can do the right process. Every day I can be consistent in watering. When I see, oh, it's drying because too much sunlight, okay, I can bring it out of the shade, bring it to a shade.
Yes.
Practically, like I've been doing that I had a tulsi plant in my house. I'm not a very gardener person and I don't know much about plants. My mother-in-law was very good at all this. She used to like love every birthday, every anniversary, we used to get new plants at home. And she used to sit with the gardener and whole day she would be interested in, oh, this plant grew this much. That was her joy of life. And I used to love to gift her that. So I would get the plants and I tell her, now it's your responsibility. I'm not getting into that story. It's not my job. But the way when every tree would grow, she would say, "ये ना बाबू के बर्थडे पे लेके आए थे, ये याद है ये एनिवर्सरी पे लाए थे."
Hmm.
The joy of sitting with the gardener and just seeing that garden flourish
Yes.
patiently, just knowing that
Yes.
I'm doing my bit.
Yes.
That beauty I have seen my mother-in-law because she lost her husband way, way, way back. She was only 36.
God.
She had polio from the childhood. So handicapped for life. So many judgments. Growth wasn't enough. She was only 4 feet. She is only 4 feet 10 inches. And every time she would fall and she will break her bones because she had osteoporosis also. Now with all these limitations, still a person, I didn't know healing and all at that time. Still a person finds ways to live a life and choose happiness, if not 100%, but at least sustainable. Yeah. I used to just watch her and I used to be in awe, like, itni problems hai, like practical problems. No money, lost her husband, never got the, you know, gratitude that she should have received for who she was, the way she took care of her children, her sons, after her husband died. So much she did to keep things afloat. When I came into my marriage, when I got married, that time it was already more than, my father-in-law died in 86 and I got married in 1993. So many years. Initially, I was so irritated by her behavior because it would come with a set of fixed ways of being because of whatever trauma that she'd gone through. And I didn't know healing. I was just like anybody else. So I used to just really get irritated with her. But the first thing one day I realized, she went unconscious one night, just like that, better. That night I couldn't sleep because I know I'm an empath, I'm sensitive. Now I know healing and all that time. I didn't know any of that. And I started going into so much thinking that why does she have so much pain? That she can't sleep, she can't walk properly, she can't eat the food that she likes to. She can't go places without a wheelchair. I'm teary eyed like when I think of that. How privileged are we? I used to think that how privileged are we that we can walk, I mean, you know, so many things. Then
Yes.
at that time, still I used to think that I didn't know the word root cause, but I used to think, what can we change so that she feels better? Okay. And one day I was talking to my ex-husband and, I was talking to him and I was like, कि मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि there are two boys. And after Papa ji died, when Bhai Sahab got married, naturally he's sleeping with his wife. And now you're also sleeping with me. So she has lost that somebody who can sleep with her.
Hmm.
which was still there even after Papaji died, till Adesh was unmarried. So I said, I think her loneliness has gone to the extreme, hurt or painful. And that time my son was just 1.5 years old. So I was like, maybe, if I make Babu sleep with her, she will feel better. The moment I proposed this idea, she's like, मैं नहीं संभाल सकती, बच्चा सुसु करेगा, पॉटी करेगा, ये सब मेरे को नहीं पता है रात को. बट आई सेड नहीं, कोई बात नहीं है, जब तक वो सोएगा नहीं मैं बैठी रहूंगी, और जब वो सो जाएगा और जब भी अगर वो रात को सुसु करे, आप मेरे को आवाज लगाना, मैं आ जाऊंगी. Practically I did that for a year till he was grown up
Wow.
enough to say कि मुझे सुसु आ रहा है. I used to sit till 12:30 in the night till my child sleeps, and then every time he does susu or anything, my mother-in-law will just call me and I'll change the clothes and everything, and then I'll make him sleep. Now what did this do to her? From that day onwards, she never felt unconscious ever in the sleep. Okay.
Wow.
Second thing, she loves my son the most in the entire family. Okay. Third thing, that just because I was sitting every day with her in the night for making my son sleep and then putting him besides her and coming that many times in the night to check, I could see those conversations that I used to have with her sitting, making my child sleep on my lap and talking to her. I could see where she operates from. I had a lot more compassion and a lot more respect for who she is. Okay. Now, this is all, I didn't, no healer came and told me this. Okay. These are things that just naturally, I used to think so much. I was very sensitive. And I was so like, I used to cry if somebody else has a pain. I was so much of an empath, very high degree empath. So that she will pain, but I used to feel that in my body, despite the differences in anger and irritation with her, her fixed behavior and everything. But then there was this part of me which was always the way it was. So the same part of me can become like how I started off with, can be my biggest weakness, because then everybody takes me for granted. That, oh, she will understand. And I understand everybody.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So I'm looking at things from a very different perspective, but others are not looking at me from that perspective. So what healing had to do to me was to teach me to have the same kindness and compassion for myself also.
Yes.
That was the healing. That was the work that healing did for me. I wouldn't even say self-love. I still love everybody a lot. I haven't spoken to my mother-in-law because when I spelled divorce, like since 2017 till now, we have never seen each other's face. But whenever I talk to Adesh, I ask him, how's mommy, what's going on? And he tells me how she is. And very recently, like very, like when I went for my second divorce hearing, he told she's not able to sleep and she's really become extremely weak, and she can't even, like, she only can walk from her room to the hall and then back to the room. A part of me was like wanted to like let me go and meet her and do some, but then I was like, okay, fine, let me just in 5 years nobody has contacted me ever, nobody has tried to know how I am, so I don't want to go overboard and like try and do anything. But I gave my Soul's Temple meditation, which I had in Hindi at that time. And I said, अच्छा ठीक है, आप मम्मी के पास जाओ, आप बॉडी प्रोसेस करो, और मम्मी को पूछना कि विल शी लाइक टू लिसन टू दिस सोल्स टेम्पल. अगर मेरी आवाज़ में नहीं मन करे तो शी कैन लिसन टू, you can record it in your voice and give it to her and make her listen to it every day. It'll heal some parts. Okay. That evening he went because I was in Raipur. He went. Next morning he came and he told me she slept so well last night. That's all. Nothing else. After that, I haven't spoken to her. I have not done anything. Um, I, as usual, inquire about her health. But what I'm acknowledging is, if they had not been exactly the way they were, I wouldn't be doing exactly what I'm doing right now.
Yes. Yes.
So it's all happening perfectly. In the grand design, it's all beautiful. No one is right, no one is wrong, no situation is right, no situation is wrong. Everything is coming to take you where you are supposed to be, to push you to your greatest capacity, provided with every experience you're willing to learn and grow and not dwell in the pain.
Yes.
And that's the only thing. If anybody asks me what is your recommendation to everybody, I will say any which way, any experience, get going, learn and grow from that. Whatever you have to learn and grow. If something is repeating time and again in your life, there's something that you haven't learned yet. And just
Yes.
get to that. Okay, what do I need to learn from this? So example,
Okay.
if you started off with, how can I not be vested in the outcome? Okay, so
Yes.
you could ask, okay, why am I vested in the outcome? What is it that I have to learn here?
Yes.
And you can do soul temple. Being vested in the outcome is my soul's temple.
Soul's temple.
My need to be vested in the outcome is my soul's temple. My resistance to be process oriented and not result oriented is my
Wow.
soul's temple.
Soul's temple.
And then having faith in the universal support and design is my soul's temple. Trusting myself with all the choices that I make, seemingly right or wrong, is my soul's temple.
What I feel, Bandna, is that sometimes for me, I need my space and I want people to acknowledge my choices, but sometimes I am not the same with people. Like sometimes I do not really let them be them.
Yeah. That is where Dr. Sanjeev Padmanabhan and transactional analysis gave me like a mind blowing 4 principles of TA, which I
Okay.
started doing like affirmations every day. And today only I had a word with Sanjeev that would you like to come and talk about your subject? And
Wow. What else is possible?
he being a MBBS doctor, I know he's going to bring so much value to this program. So, and Sanjeev is like my son, like that young. But I
Okay.
adore the way he has learned and grown in his life. So many things apart from being a medical doctor too. So, in his class of transactional analysis, he said the 4 principles of TA are: people are okay, people can choose
Hmm.
for themselves,
Hmm.
people decide their destiny, destiny
Hmm.
once decided can be changed.
Yes. Yes.
So now, when I think about why people are choosing what they're choosing, I just go into people are okay. People can choose for themselves.
Hmm. Yes.
When they decide to change their destiny, let them change it in the way they want to change it. It's not my job. I can't anyway
Yes.
change everybody's destiny,
Yes.
right? I can only change me.
Hmm.
That's the only control I have and the only power I have.
Yes.
And that is what Susan Jeffers says in her book Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway. Power is not the ability to make other people do what you want them to do. Power is the ability to make yourself do whatever you want you to do.
Wow.
So that's power. And that power I have developed like that muscle big time. And I
Wow.
don't want to exercise any other power. I can only make myself do whatever I want to do. And other people can choose what they want to do. If it is going to affect me too much, I can choose to leave that place.
Yes.
And if I have to be there, then I will acknowledge that, oh, it's my need to be there. So they are not at fault.
Yes. Thank you for explaining it so beautifully. Thank you.
Thank you for your question. Shall we all acknowledge that you are being a contribution by asking all the questions that you guys are asking?
Thank you.
Okay. So it's 7:09. We didn't do any Souls Temple today, but I've given a lot of Souls Temple to do. To-do
Yes.
list. So you can all go back to the audio video, write down what I have said for yourself. I mean,
Yes.
it's not universal. Whatever resonates with you, pick it up, write it, and start doing that.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much, people. I'm ending this
Thank
day.
you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Vandana, can you just write the TA stuff again? Like the 4 points that we were talking about Sanjeev telling you?
I'll put it on the group.
Yeah, because like you will be loading the thing later, so we can at least start using those.
Very simple. People are okay. People can choose for themselves. People decide their destiny. Destiny once decided can be changed.
Awesome. Thank you so
Okay.
much.
Thank you. See you on Monday.